Skagway is a first-class borough in Alaska, on the Alaska Panhandle. Beginning in 1897, Skagway and the nearby ghost town of Dyea was the starting place for more than 40,000 gold rush stampeders who headed to the Yukon primarily by way of the Chilkoot Trail. Today, Skagway survives almost entirely on tourism, as bus tours and more than 400 cruise ships a year turn this small town into a boom town again every summer. Up to 5 ships a day stop here, and on the busiest days, more than 8,000 visitors, 10 times the town's resident population, march off the ships and turn Broadway Avenue into a modern-day version of the Klondike Gold Rush. The historic White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad provides tours to the top of the mountain pass, north of town. Seated in parlor cars, passengers ride up the most spectacular part of the trip, viewing scenery such as Glacier Gorge, Dead Horse Gulch, and Bridalveil Falls. At the top they see the White Pass at 2,885 feet, which is also the international boundary between the United States and Canada.
In the rivers cold and fast, 7 days of darkness, 7 days of midnight and dusk. Wind out on the glaciers, colder than a wild walrus tusk. 7 days of darkness, 7 days of fire in her eyes. Warmness to the marrow, burning out these wild...
A visit to Skagway would not be complete without a stop at the historic Red Onion Saloon. The Red Onion is a favorite among visitors and locals alike. Built in 1897, the Red Onion Saloon operated as one of the finest bordellos in Skagway. And though times have changed, the spirit has not.
The days are growing longer, and soon no more endless night.
The facade of this building was covered with 8,833 pieces of driftwood in 1899, and it is still there. Once one of the oldest hotels in Alaska, the Golden North Hotel was also the most haunted. The hotel's most famous resident was Mary, a young woman who succumbed to pneumonia in room 23 while waiting for her beloved fiancé, a prospector, to return with gold. Guests claimed to see her spirit in the room, with some even reporting the sensation of being awakened with the feeling that they were choking.
In the summer,
A 7-block corridor features historic false front shops and restaurants, wooden sidewalks, locals in period costumes, and restored buildings, many of which are part of the National Park Service managed Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park.
colder than a wild walrus tusk. 7 days of darkness, 7 days of fire in her eyes. Warmness to the marrow, burning out these wild northern lights. 7 days of darkness, 7 days of fire in her eyes. Warmness to the marrow, burning out these wild northern lights. north to Alaska, north to Alaska. I go north, the rush is on. North to Alaska, I go north, the rush is on.
Molly Walsh came to Skagway and accompanied in the fall of 1897, a rarity in her day. She remained in Skagway for a few months, then headed north to open a restaurant in Log Cabin, a tent town located along the White Pass Trail. She soon received the attention of many packers along the trail. One who was particularly fond of her was Jack Newman, but she married Mike Bartlett. Crestfallen, Newman soon married Hannah Barry instead, but he never stopped thinking about Molly. Meanwhile, the Bartlett's marriage was turbulent at best, and in 1902 an argument erupted which resulted in Molly's murder. Newman read about the slaying and was heartbroken, and in 1930 he had this bust built in her memory.
North to Alaska, north to Alaska, north to Alaska. I go north, the rush is on. North to Alaska, I go north, the rush is on.
The Skagway Centennial statue depicts an Indian guide leading a gold rusher over the mountains.
Big nuggets they're finding north to Alaska. I go north, the rush is on. North to Alaska, I go north, the rush.
This plaque is in memory of the 3,000 pack animals that laid their bones on the awful hills during the gold rush of 1897-1898.
Way up north to Alaska, way up north to Alaska, way up north to Alaska, way up north to Alaska.
When I was a child and I lived in the city, I dreamed of Alaska, so far away. And I dreamed I was flying over mountains and glaciers. Somehow I knew that I'd live there one day. Well, it took me some growing and a fair bit of schooling, a little bit of trouble to get on the move. And I felt like a loser, but I turned out the winner when it came to Alaska, the land that I love. Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. I was born in a cabin.
With only 27 inches of moisture a year, Skagway is known as the sunshine capital of Southeast Alaska. In fact, students from the north in Canada's Yukon visit Skagway regularly on spring break, calling the city the Fort Lauderdale of the North.
Here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's to the free. Here's to my life in a chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. Oh, for a fire on a cold winter's night, once more to gaze at the great northern lights. For all of the beauty my children will see. Here's to Alaska and me. Here's to Alaska, here's to the people, here's to the wild, and here's chosen country. Here's to Alaska and me. Oh, here's to Alaska and me.